I procrastinate probably around 99% of my daily activities, and I'm just sick of wasting so much damn time and of always feeling rushed. Hi, welcome. My name is Undercover Bosch, and this is my second 30-day challenge. In my first 30-day challenge, I attempted to improve my somewhat destructive sleep schedule by waking up at 6 a.m. for 30 days. Spoiler alert, that did not really go as expected, but that's a whole different video. In this video, I'm gonna try 30 days of eliminating procrastination.
So, what is procrastination? According to Google, or Wikipedia, procrastination is the action of unnecessarily and voluntarily delaying or postponing something despite knowing that there will be negative consequences for doing so. And when you think of procrastination, you probably picture something like this, or this, or this, or even this. But it can also be masked as busyness. And I don't mean this kind of busy, but the kind where you're just running around, making yourself think that you're being productive while you're really just postponing the things you actually have to get done. Which can look like spontaneously organizing your stuff, a random cleaning session, or planning your life till the millisecond for the coming 6 months. Whatever it is, essentially you're just waiting for time to pass, hoping that one daunting task is magically gonna finish itself. So, how do you eliminate procrastination? Well, there's an overwhelming amount of information out there, so for this particular challenge,
I created a set of 10 rules that will hopefully help me achieve the desired outcome. Rule number 1, I'm not allowed to snooze. Rule number 2, I'm not allowed to use my phone in the restroom or in my bed. Rule number 3, my midday break, aka lunch break, cannot be longer than 1.5 hours. Which may sound like a lot, but what usually happens is that my lunch break kinda extends into the entire afternoon, and then I just don't really get anything else done after my lunch, which is not ideal. So to avoid that from happening, I needed to have a maximum amount of time with a time cap. And it's 1.5 hours, so that if I want to go for a walk or have to do groceries, I can also do that during my lunch break. Rule number 4, my small breaks, which are bathroom breaks, coffee breaks, I just need a little breaks, can be 15 minutes max each. Rule number 5, I'm allowed a maximum of 30 minutes on social media every day. Rule number 6, I can watch a maximum of 3 YouTube videos in one sitting, and the total of those 3 videos cannot exceed 1 hour. The reason I made that a separate rule is because I view YouTube more as entertainment rather than social media, and the time cap is to keep myself from falling into that bottomless pit that brings me to like watching 50 cooking videos or how to build a swimming pool with your bare hands. Rule number 7 brings me to the second part of the entertainment realm, mainly Netflix, but it also applies to Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, whatever other entertainment platforms are out there. And the rule is that I can watch a maximum of 2 episodes of any kind of show in one sitting or one movie. And again, that's to keep myself from falling into the binge watch trap and watch 4 seasons in one sitting. Rule number 8, I'm not allowed to watch the Netflix kind of entertainment during the day. Because with YouTube, I find that if I watch some kind of motivational video, it motivates me and it doesn't really affect my productivity that much. But if I dive into the movie, action, Marvel kind of entertainment during the day, my productivity goes right out the window faster than I can't really come up with an analogy right now. You get the point. Rule number 9. My work blocks have to be a minimum of 1 hour and a maximum of 3 hours each. And during those work blocks, I'm not allowed to use my phone, except for video related stuff, or if I'm working on a group project and it's necessary for me to communicate with the other team members during that time. The reason why I'm using a maximum amount of time for my work blocks is because when I get in a workflow, I tend to just keep going until I finish the task. I'm talking about staring at my computer screen for like 7 hours straight without any breaks, which is not healthy. Kind of like, opening a bag of M&Ms and just keep going until the bag is empty, whether your stomach tells you, please stop, it's not good for you. You just keep going until you wanna see the bottom. I'm realizing now this is not relevant. The time cap is to simply keep myself from going completely insane and or delusional, so that I don't neglect my health while working and assure that I take healthy breaks during my workday. Rule number 10 is about the time I will give myself to get ready. For starters, on regular mornings, I will give myself 30 minutes. Then, on mornings when I want to work out and have to shower and wash my hair after, I will double the amount. That means I give myself an hour total, which includes the time to get ready for my workout and the time to shower and get ready after my workout. Lastly, I will give myself 20 minutes to get ready at night. I hope that was clear. Alright, now that we covered the ground rules, I want to add an additional rule of using a kitchen timer for all my time-based activities throughout this challenge in order to get used to getting something done or doing something in general in a predetermined amount of time without my stress levels going through the roof and starting to sweat uncontrollably. Yeah, that's not fun. So I want to train myself to get into the habit of actually getting things done in the time I allocate for a certain task versus procrastinating that certain task until the end of time. Okay, let's just get into the video, shall we? Okay, long story short, this challenge was kind of a fail. I mean, I started out fully motivated with my timer in hand, backup timer in the other hand, ready to take on this challenge. But that motivation just kind of kept declining as time went by until it evaporated into thin air. And on top of that, over time, I even forgot about some of the rules I set for myself, which I agree is kind of stupid. Yeah, I don't really have an excuse for that. However, some of the rules were actually helpful in terms of getting me on the right track, like as a good starting point. Therefore, I figured I'd quickly go over the rules again. Emphasis on quickly, because I have a tendency to make short stories extremely fucking long, and I'm trying to improve that. So let's quickly go over the rules again, and I will give you some context as to why they were or weren't helpful. Alright, I'll put the rules right here. Rule number 1. That one was very helpful. And even now that my sleep schedule has gone back to absolute shit again and waking up at a reasonable time is very difficult, but hey, what's new? Not snoozing does actually make it easier to get up. Rule number 2 was also helpful, especially in terms of going to sleep more easily. I guess my brain just really started associating my bed with sleep and not with being awake scrolling on my phone. I do have to admit that it was a little awkward not taking your phone with you to the bathroom when you gotta do number 2, because you're just there with your thoughts and your SHIT. So from now on, I am gonna take my phone with me to the toilet again when I have to go number 2, because that's just a reality. Rule number 3, and I guess we could also do number 4, my breaks. I just have an issue with finding a good balance between working and breaks, because it's still all or nothing with me, and during this challenge it was still difficult. But the time limit in general, I think, can be very helpful in terms of really making it clear for yourself what time you allocate for rest and what time you allocate for work. So there's that. And then the rule I completely forgot from the get-go, rule number 5. I really have no excuse for this. I just completely forgot right after announcing it. So I could not tell you how much time I spent on social media every day. But again, I do think it can be helpful to set a time limit for these types of things, just to become more conscious and intentional when using your phone. So that might actually be an interesting challenge for a future video. Who knows? Then we have rule number 6, which kind of goes hand in hand with rule number 7 and 8, my entertainment rules. Overall, those rules were extremely helpful. Again, in terms of becoming more intentional with what you want to spend your time on watching. And that actually went pretty great throughout the entire challenge, except towards the end of the challenge, I kind of watched all the movies I wanted to watch, and I finished my show. So then I started a show with very short episodes, and that made it very tempting to combine it with YouTube, and the combination of those two made it very hard to stick to the time limit. But yeah, setting a time limit or any kind of limit when it comes to this kind of entertainment is extremely helpful. Rule number 9, my work blocks. Again, the concept of having a set time for work can be very helpful, but just like my breaks, I really struggle with the time I allocate for work. Because when I get in the flow, I find it very, very hard to stop and just take a break in the middle of, being in deep work. And I think that stems from a fear of not being able to get back into that flow again, which is kind of nonsense, because you can get back in the flow, but that fear just is rooted very deeply. And I think part of that fear comes from a lack of self-discipline. So yeah, that's just something I have to keep working on, but I still believe that setting a time limit for your work blocks can be very helpful. Then we have rule number 10, getting ready is something that used to take me forever, hence why I set time limits for all these different categories, and that was very helpful. I mean, I did struggle to get ready within those set times, but it did help me to become more aware of how much time I spend on getting ready and how I can do it more effectively. And then lastly, we had the bonus rule, using a kitchen timer. I mean, I never thought that something so simple could be so helpful in terms of beating procrastination. And I am not saying that having a kitchen timer will magically solve all your procrastination problems, but it is definitely a helpful tool for becoming more aware of how much time you spend on certain tasks and how you can spend your time more effectively and actually get stuff done within a realistic set amount of time. Disclaimer, using the timer will most likely be confronting, because not only will you become aware of how much time you spend on certain activities, you will also start noticing how much time you actually waste. And that's what happened to me, and I have to say that felt a little depressing. But when that happens, you really have to choose not to let that discourage you, because when you know, you can actually do something about it. And that brings me to the main takeaway of this challenge, which is that in the end, it all comes down to self-discipline. You really don't have to look at motivational quotes for 3 hours straight or do an endless amount of planning. You just have to get your goals straight and do the things that get you closer to them. Whether those goals are improving a bad habit or becoming a millionaire, it just really helps to have that why in your life. Because personally, I noticed that procrastination kicks in hardest when I don't have my goals straight and don't really know what I'm doing or why I'm doing what I'm doing. So in conclusion, I guess you could say that having a why is basically the fuel for self-discipline, and self-discipline is what can help you beat procrastination or achieve any of your other goals for that matter. So on that note, that was it for this video. And I'll actually dive a little deeper into practical tips on this topic in a future video, which I'm still working on. But for now, I'll leave you with this video and the corresponding challenge diary, which is the first challenge diary I made. And the idea behind it is to create a calming and relaxing environment for anyone who watches it or just listens to it. So I really hope you enjoy that. And I hope you enjoy this video as well, of course. Please feel free to leave any tips, ideas, feedback in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video, because it will really help build a community, and that's the goal. So I wish you a wonderful day or night depending on your time zone, and I hope to see you in the next one. But for me, just like my breaks, but in this challenge, just like my breaks, I really struggle. But just like my breaks, I really struggle with sticking to the time. But it is definitely a very helpful maybe you notice that you don't, and maybe you notice that you waste a lot of time. Yeah, awareness. But it is definitely a very helpful tool for becoming more aware of how much time you actually spend on certain tasks. And I hate this word so much. But it is definitely a very helpful tool in terms of for becoming more aware of how much time you actually spend on certain tasks within a realistic. There is hair fucking poking my eye. And I'll actually dive a little deeper into practical tips. I'll actually dive deeper into practical tips. I have the biggest fucking headache from these glasses, because it will tell the algorithm that I exist.
Snooze.